listening to This Week in Big Sky Basketball as we take you around the conference for all the latest in Big Sky hoops. Now, here's your host, Scott Gerard.
Hey, welcome in. It's another edition of This Week in Big Sky Basketball. I'm Scott Gerard. Another exciting week of Big Sky hoops. And some of the top teams fell, and two teams took over sole possession of first place in the men's and women's standings. On the men's side, Weber State improves to 6-1 and took over the top spot by handling Northern Colorado, its second loss on Saturday in a battle for first place. Portland State emerges as leader on the women's side by pushing their winning streak now to 5 games. Our guests today include Weber State women's coach Velaida Harris, also Montana State senior guard Tyler Hall, and Colter Nuanez of Skyline Sports. Talk about some of the top storylines from across the league. First off, let's take a look at what's happening in Big Sky women's basketball. Portland State finds itself atop the standings following this week's conference games. After starting conference play with a loss to Northern Colorado, the Vikings have now won 5 straight. Portland State is being led by Sydney Riley, who's averaging 15.8 points per game in conference play and is top 10 in scoring in the conference. 3 teams sit with 2 losses and are on the heels of the number 1 spot. Northern Colorado went 1-1 last week and ended with a 60-56 victory over Idaho State. Idaho State and Idaho both went 0-1 last week for their second conference losses of the season and round out the 3 teams with 2 losses. Eastern Washington's Violet Capri-Morrow had an outstanding offensive performance, 37 points and an 89-87 victory in overtime over Montana State. Her performance is the second highest offensive performance in the conference this season. 2 teams picked up their first conference wins of the season. Sacramento State went 2-0 and was led by Kennedy Nicholas, who put up 22 points and 20 rebound performance against Southern Utah. Weber State picked up a 55-54 victory over Northern Colorado. The Wildcats and Bears went all the way to the final buzzer, but it was a free throw with 1 second left remaining that sealed the victory for Weber State with an impressive victory for the Wildcats. As conference play continues to heat up, no team is safe and no victory will come easy, certainly evident by this past weekend. Joining us now, Weber State head coach, Coach Harris, kind enough to join us. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Appreciate it.
How emotional were you during those final free throws of that game?
It was exciting. We had a senior guard, come through and make a great decision, put pressure on the refs, try to get to the rim. So it was really exciting because I was really happy for my kids. Was
that kind of the message to try to finish at the rim and see if you could get the call or get something close to the rim?
Yeah, the goal was to just attack the rim because we'd been doing it all night, so we got to the free throw line quite a bit. And so, Giamatti, very talented with the ball in her hands, and so, we ran a play, and if it and the instructions were if it didn't, come to fruition, work out, then it was going to be up to you to take it to the rim, and she did just that.
You mentioned Giamatti, Welch Coleman, and Kayla Watkins. You've got 2 really great playmakers and others on this team. Just tell us about the chemistry and how this team's coming together at this point.
Well, we're young. We're very, very young, and everything's brand new. So it's taken us a minute, to just really kind of find our rhythm. And I think we're ascending slowly. I've told them it was hard because we were on a streak that was in the wrong direction, but every day in practice and with every game, I thought we were improving and getting better and better and better. And I told them, I said, we're going to win against a team that we're not supposed to beat. And so they just remained locked in. And it's hard with a young team because everything's new, and then a couple of seniors that we have on our team who've experienced 21 wins. And so it was really, really tough, but they've all bought in, and so it's really, that's been the biggest piece of all of this is those 2 seniors buying in and leading the young ones.
That's one of the things about coaching that really fascinates me is kind of the psychology of the whole thing. And when you finally get that payoff, when you get that, you've been telling the team all year, you're going to get that win against a team that people aren't going to believe that you're going to win. When you get that win, does a team sometimes take off after that because they realize, okay, coach is right. She knew what she was talking about, and we got that W.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal, the psychology of it all. And because we've been in every game, except for Portland State, they're the top of the conference, they got us pretty good, but every other game's been close. Idaho State, Northern Arizona, Southern Utah, game we should have won in overtime. And so it's hard, but when they're invested, and I believe they're invested in each other, they're invested in what we're trying to do, and you just got to keep plugging away. It's about consistency, and we haven't been consistent, and that's been our biggest thing. Because of just our lack of experience. And so if we remain consistent, it's going to pay off. And it was hard because it wasn't resulting in W's. And we finally got a big one. And I think, one, that boosts their confidence. Two, that their trust remains, in what it is we're trying to do. And that's half the battle, just getting kids to believe that they can do what you've been telling them to do every single practice, every single day.
How much potential do you believe you have there with those underclassmen, and how special could they be before it's all said and done?
Well, we have, what do we have? 2 seniors, 2 juniors, 2 sophomores, and the rest are freshmen. And so I think with this group, the work that they're getting in, the experience that they're gaining is huge. And you've seen some young kids come on. You've seen Kayla Watkins, who's a sophomore, come on quite a bit. You've seen Cheyenne Johnson, Corey, come on, and Dominique, who's a junior who had some time last year, but we're just asking her to do something very different. Like, Nick, I need you to score. Nick, I need you to get 12 rebounds a game. Things that they're just not used to, but what they're doing is working hard at it. And this year, I think, is going to pay off in a big way for the future in terms of the young kids that we have.
Talk about leadership, Jaimani Welch-Coleman, obviously a solid player for you, but how does her leadership help you in a season like this?
Well, it's a big deal. She's our leader in terms of, leading us in offense on the floor and kind of our scoring or assists. She's one of our top rebounds, and I think she leads by example. She just every single day she comes to work, and she puts her best foot forward. And then with her and then Emily Drake, who, hasn't been shooting well this year. She was a big part of what they did last year. Her leadership in terms of communication with the kids, keeping the young kids invested, keeping them, inspired. Those 2 seniors have just been tremendous for me this year. Tremendous.
Well, with conference schedule underway, it looks like there is no easy games. What's your outlook and what are your expectations for the remainder of the regular season?
My expectations are that we continue to just make this slow ascend because, when you get to the conference tournament, it's one and done. You just play through. And so that's what I have these kids looking towards. It's one game at a time, until we get to that conference tournament. And then based on where we are, hopefully we'll continue to peak. We have the Montana's this week who are very, very good teams, solid teams. And it's going to be about us doing what we're supposed to do. We're a defensive-minded team. Mm-hmm. And if we play defense the way we're supposed to, I think that keeps us in every single game. And so that's been the mindset and really what I'm trying to get the girls to believe in.
Well, Coach, we certainly appreciate your time. Congratulations on the big W. Keep it rolling, and we look forward to catching up with you again here soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You got it. That's Weber State's women's coach, Velaida Harris, as they pick up a big W. Now, remember, for the last 30 years, Sports Graphics has been a leader in providing signage and services for the top professional and amateur sporting events across the country. That's why the Big Sky Conference is proud to work with Sports Graphics for all their signage at Big Sky Championships. Sports Graphics, proud sponsor of the Big Sky. We'll take a short break, come back with Montana State senior guard Tyler Hall, also discuss what's been going on in Big Sky men's basketball. It's all straight ahead as we continue on here on This Week in Big Sky Basketball. CenturyLink Arena plays host to the 2019 Big Sky Men's and Women's Basketball Championships in Boise. Postseason college basketball is back in Boise, and we have your front row seat to the event. The women's tournament will be held March 11th through the 15th, while the men's championship will take place March 13th through the 16th. The wait is over. 22 teams, 20 games, 2 champions. Don't miss your chance to buy tickets for this fun-filled week of basketball. Tickets are on sale now at BigSkyInBoise.com.
Traveling to watch your favorite team, or you just need a weekend away? Let My Place be your place for both. My Place Hotels is proud to be the official hotel of the Big Sky Conference. And now you can use booking code BIGSKY19 to receive 19% off your stay at myplacehotels.com.
You're listening to This Week in Big Sky Basketball.
Welcome on back. Segment number 2 here on this edition of This Week in Big Sky Basketball. I'm Scott Gerard. Big thanks to Lloyd Cole, as always, for keeping the show together. The 2019 Big Sky Men's and Women's Basketball Championships, presented by My Place Hotels, are headed to Boise, Idaho in 2019. Visit BigSkyInBoise.com to purchase tickets and get hotel information. The Big Sky Conference will take over Boise March 11th through 16th, and we want to see you there. You need a hotel for work or just a night stay with over 44 hotels open and more on the way. Well, they want to be your home away from home. It's My Place Hotels, proud to be the official hotel of the Big Sky Conference. All right, let's take a look at what's been going on in Big Sky men's basketball. Weber State put together a 2-0 week in league play with home wins over Idaho State and Northern Colorado. Take over the top spot in the Big Sky. Junior Jarek Harding averaging 22 points per game on the week, including a 28-point performance in the win over Idaho State on Thursday. Northern Colorado and Montana sit with 2 losses in conference play as the Bears bounced back with a big win over Idaho State following their setback to Weber State. Montana was undefeated on the week with a road win over Idaho. Jordan Davis averaged 22 points a game to lead Northern Colorado over 2 games. Southern Utah continued its climb up the standings with wins over Portland State and Sacramento State. They've got a 4-game winning streak and sit at 4-3 alongside Montana State. Eastern Washington, Northern Arizona, and Sacramento State each collected 1 win over the week. Sac State Joshua Patton recorded 34 points and 11 boards and added the game-winning bucket in the final seconds with a win against Northern Arizona. And Montana State senior guard Tyler Hall scoring 26 points against Eastern Washington to set the Big Sky Conference career scoring record on Saturday. And he joins us right now. Tyler Hall, kind enough to carve out a few moments for us. Tyler, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Congratulations on getting that record. Does it feel like you kind of got a monkey off your back by finally getting it? Now you can just focus back on basketball?
Yeah. I mean, I never put it too, far ahead of myself. But, now that it's over and done with, it's kind of nice to just focus on the rest of the season. Not have to hear about it anymore.
Well, I am going to ask you a couple questions about it, and then you can move on. But what does it feel like?
Oh, yeah, no, it's fine.
No, I know. But I know you're team guy, and I've watched you play for several years, and I know you're about the team, and you want Montana State to be playing well. But just from a personal standpoint, what does this mean for you?
It's a huge accomplishment for myself. I put in a lot of hard work into my game, and, I've given a lot of time to this game, so to see something like that happen is, it means a lot to me.
What do you attribute that success to? Mostly the hard work that you put in behind the scenes?
Yeah, a lot of hard work, and, I have a lot of people that help me in my little circle. So I get all the credit, but, there's a lot of people that have helped me, and, I just appreciate it.
Earlier this season, you also became the Big Sky all-time leader in three-pointers. As the season winds down, what are some of your goals that you want to accomplish, and where do you want to see this team at as you end the regular season?
Well, obviously, I want to make a run in the Big Sky tournament and make it to the NCAA tournament. I think we have a really good team. Just got to fix up a couple of things, and I think we'll be towards the top of the conference when it's all said and done. So I'm really looking forward to it.
What are some of the things you want to see? You talk about a couple things you want to clean up. What are some of the things this team needs to work on in this home stretch?
We had a lot of new guys. In the conference games are a little different. So just putting together some wins, get some momentum going, and having a lot of confidence. I think are the keys for us.
Tyler Hall, kind enough to join us here on This Week in Big Sky Basketball. Your team sits at 4-3 in conference play, sitting in a tie for 4th. You got big matchups against Weber State and Idaho State. What are some of the keys against those teams coming up this weekend?
Well, I think a big key for us is, protecting home court. We didn't do that last week, but I think that's really big in this conference, because there are a lot of good teams this year. So, as far as matchups go, 2 tough games, and just got to play hard and be ready to go.
You got some other guys on that team that have been fun to watch and see how they develop. How's Harold Frey's game continuing to develop into a sophomore year?
I love playing alongside Harry. He's a great leader for us, and he has a lot of confidence. So, just being able to play alongside him and watch him grow as a player has been awesome for me.
What's it like as a student athlete? You got a grueling, obviously long schedule, practice, and trying to juggle all that with academics and everything else that goes along with it. Just how difficult is that?
Definitely can be tough at times, but it's a blessing to be in this situation. So, it's really hard to complain. It does get tough at times, just juggling everything. But, it's a blessing to be in this situation. So, I can't complain about it.
How have you been able to keep your scoring output up, even though you're the number one target? When teams are looking at this team, they're like, we got to find a way to take him out of the game. How are you able to adjust and still be productive offensively?
I think just one thing, always staying aggressive, no matter how people guard you or how you're doing during that game. But also just teammates around me. Everybody's confident, and when other people attack and when other people make plays, then you can't just sit on me. So I mean, that's what I try to preach to my teammates and having confidence.
Well, Tyler, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us, and keep it rolling. Looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out for you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You got it. Montana State senior guard Tyler Hall here on This Week in Big Sky Basketball. As Montana State has a couple big games coming up this weekend against Weber State and Idaho State. We'll talk more about the full schedule of games, where you can watch those games on television this weekend, and also lay out the rest of the conference schedule. It's all straight ahead. You're listening to another edition of This Week in Big Sky Basketball. Pluto TV is your one-stop shop for Big Sky action. The leading free internet television service in America will stream live sporting events, including up to 700 football, men's and women's basketball, volleyball, and selected soccer, softball, and track and field events. Simply go to Pluto TV to find games from several different sports. Pluto TV is your one-stop shop for all Big Sky action. The 2019 Big Sky Men's and Women's Basketball Championships are headed to Boise. Buy your tickets now for a fun-filled week with basketball for all to enjoy. Purchase your tickets today by visiting BigSkyInBoise.com. That's BigSkyInBoise.com.
Now, back to This Week in Big Sky Basketball.
All right, welcome on back. Final segment of this week's edition of This Week in Big Sky Basketball. I'm Scott Gerard. Big Sky Conference will air all of its live stream sports events on Pluto TV for free, including up to 700 football, men's and women's basketball, volleyball, and selected soccer, softball, and track and field events. All Big Sky basketball games can be seen on Watch Big Sky and Pluto TV. All right, so in Big Sky men's basketball action this week, Montana and Montana State will host a pair of key matchups against Weber State and Idaho State. Just talked to Tyler Hall about the importance of those games for Montana State. On the West Coast, Sacramento State and Portland State will bring in Eastern Washington and Idaho, while Northern Arizona plays host to Northern Colorado and Southern Utah. UNC will also host Southern Utah to open up the week. On the women's side, Eastern Washington and Idaho host Portland State and Sacramento State. Idaho State and Weber State welcome in Montana and Montana State, while Southern Utah hosts Northern Colorado and Northern Arizona. And rounding out this week's action is Northern Colorado playing host to Northern Arizona. And remember, every single Big Sky Conference game can be seen on Pluto TV and WatchBigSky.com for free and in high definition. Whether you're watching on a tablet, smartphone, laptop, or desktop, you can access all the Big Sky basketball anywhere. And here's a guy that watches all the games and can break it down better than anybody else, Colter Nuanez of Skyline Sports. Colter, good to catch up with you again. How you doing, man?
Hey, very good. How you doing?
Doing well. All right, so let's start with Weber State and Northern Colorado. Battle for the top spot in the men's side on Saturday. Wildcats come away with a 78-64 victory. Tell us a little bit about what you thought about that game and the fact that Weber won it and won it by double digits.
Well, like we talked about last week, I think this is going to be a storyline for a lot of this conference season, is just the acclimation of the schedule, because there's just so many differences for a lot of different teams. And I think that the team that probably has it the most different is Northern Colorado. With North Dakota leaving the league and no longer being Northern Colorado's travel partner, Northern Colorado has some pretty unorthodox scheduling days. Sometimes they get more days off in a row than other teams in the league, but then sometimes they have to play funny days like they did on Monday last night against Idaho State. So I think it's going to be ebbs and flows for every team. But as always, Ogden, a really tough place to play. At Weber State, when their big three are operating at a high level, Jarek Harding, Beckett Chapman, and Zach Braxton, they're going to be tough for anybody in the league to beat. So I think that Northern Colorado has some nice pieces. I think Jalen Saunders being back in the lineup and helping, that really helps them. That gives them a third guy to go with Jordan Davis and Jonah Radabaugh. But right now, I mean, Weber State's playing as well as anybody in the league. So for them to get a home win over a pretty good Northern Colorado team. I don't think it's that big of a surprise. I think Weber State is playing at a high level right now.
You know, you can pretty much set your watch to the fact that Weber State will be the near the top of the conference, but it's been 3 years since they won a regular season title. Do you think this is going to be the year that they're able to get over the hump?
Well, I think that's going to come down to a lot of what happens this week and then a lot of what happens when the Montana schools make the trip down the I-15 corridor to play in Ogden as well, because I think that Weber State has two of their toughest challenges coming up this week. First, starting Thursday in Bozeman and then Saturday in Missoula. I think those will be two games that really will have repercussions when it comes to the regular season standings. And when Montana State go back down that way, those will be pivotal games as well. But as of right now, it seems like, especially with that win over Northern Colorado, Weber State's in the driver's seat, so we'll see how they finish down the stretch. But I think we're going to get a pretty good dose of college hoops and a really good preview of maybe things to come in Missoula on Saturday night. That's what I'm really looking forward to.
Let's talk about Southern Utah for a moment. They lose Dwayne Morgan for the season, but then they rip off 4 in a row. What have the Thunderbirds done to kind of turn the corner and get themselves in a good position?
Well, it's so interesting because Dwayne Morgan is undoubtedly one of the most talented players in the league. I mean, he's everything you want in terms of his skill set and his body. I mean, he's 6'9". He can play facing the basket. He can get to the rim. But for whatever reason, removing him from the rotation has really helped them emphasize a couple other things that they're good at, namely spreading the floor. When they can put shooters all the way around the perimeter, that's when Southern Utah's at their best. I know Todd Simon likes to play up-tempo, and he really likes to get a lot of shots for a lot of guys, and it seems like not having that pivotal centerpiece has actually been good for them. I know that when the Montana schools played down in Cedar City, both Travis DeKeer and Brian Fish were very impressed with Southern Utah. I know both Montana schools took care of business on that road trip against Southern Utah, but I know both those coaches came away impressed, and they said, hey, watch out for that team. That team's going to be better than you think. And that's proven to be true now with 4 straight wins under their belt. I think Southern Utah is a team that could maybe position itself and make a run and be one of the top, at least the top half of the league standings when this is all said and done.
Women's standings shaken up a bit last week. Northern Colorado and Idaho both fell. Portland State currently leads the conference. What's the likelihood you give Portland State being able to hold on to that number 1 seed going into the tournament?
I think with what Portland State does, they're going to always be a really tough matchup for anybody. You know, Lynn Kennedy is really dedicated to that 2-3 zone. The length that they have both on the perimeter and on the interior is unparalleled in the Big Sky, and I think that you've seen that in their early matchups so far. For me, for Portland State, it's going to really just come down to consistency, because I think you know what you're getting with Sydney Riley. She's going to give you between 16 and 20 points every night out. You know what you're going to get with Courtney West. You're going to get really efficient scoring, and you're going to get protection of the rim and basically the linchpin, the anchor in the middle of that 2-3 zone. But to me, it's all about Ashley Bolston, because Bolston, at her best, I think, is maybe the most naturally talented player in the entire Big Sky. She's disappeared for stretches, but it seems like she's really locked in this year, her senior year. And I know this is definitely this is what Coach Kennedy's been building for. They thought they could have a peak year this year, and here they are, 13-2. They played a really good non-conference schedule, and they took care of business almost across the board. Beat a bunch of other really good mid-major schools during that stretch, including winning against UNLV. And so if they can keep it rolling, I think it really just comes down to, can they get the best out of Bolston every night? Because if they can, then that gives them 3 of maybe the 12 best players in the league, and that's really hard for other teams in the league to match up with and counter.
All right, so over the last couple of weeks, we've talked about some of your top performance on the men's and the women's side. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, maybe not a completely fair question, but Colter, Nuanez, mid-season MVPs on the men's and women's side, and we certainly won't hold you to this at the end of the season, but who have been your top performers on the men's and the women's side as we kind of pass the midway point of the conference season?
Well, it's so interesting because, there's most outstanding player and then there's most valuable player. And I think the most outstanding player on the men's side has been Jarek Harding. He's shooting a great percentage from all over the court. Not only he's always been the best guy in the league, in my opinion, as far as getting to the cup, but now he's shooting threes at a high percentage. He's shooting free throws at a ridiculously high clip. And so, as far as most outstanding, he's a guy that it's almost guaranteed you're going to get 25 points per game. But as far as the guy who's been the most valuable, the guy that's changed Weber State the most, it's Beckett Chapman. Beckett Chapman is leading the league in rebounding right now, and he's leading the league in block shots too. I know when he transferred from the University of Utah They knew he was a really, really talented kid, but he had a reputation for being a little bit volatile. But now that he's in his 5th year as a senior, seems like he has really, really locked in. And I think that's been the most important part of Weber State sitting alone in first place. You know, the Montana guys, Michael Ogine, Ahmad Rory, Jamar Coe, those guys are all going to steal from each other because they have such good balance. So if I had to name an MVP right now, I'd probably say it's Jared Carty, but I think that probably the most important guy for Weber State is Beckett Chapman. And then on the girls' side, you know, there's a lot of really good candidates. You know, Michaela Perez and Taylor Pierce from Idaho are both incredibly prolific. You know, I sent my guy from Skyline Sports, Andrew Houghton, down to the Montana game on Saturday, and he couldn't believe just the prolific nature that Taylor Pierce shoots threes at. I mean, she shot 16 threes in Missoula on Saturday, hit 8 of them, and that's pretty spectacular to watch. But Savannah Smith is proven to be a really key contributor for Northern Colorado again, and she is the reigning MVP. And then Ashley Bolson. I mean, I think she changes the game more than anybody at Portland State when she's really locked in, especially at the top of that 2-3 zone. So I think that the women's side is a lot more wide open. If I had to give it to one person right now, I'd probably give it to Taylor Pierce because I think she changes the scouting report more for opponents every week. But it's going to be fun to stretch run because I can't wait for you to ask me that question again here in about 6 weeks because I think that there's a lot of really good candidates on both sides.
Hey, you guys do such a great job at Skyline Sports. What are some of the features right now, and what can people expect when they go to SkylineSportsMT.com?
At SkylineSportsMT.com, I got all sorts of stuff just about the entire league. I cover the Montana schools closely because that's where we're at, but we're working on some features as well just about the way that teams are navigating the schedule. We had one last week just about the initial portion of it when you have to play 4 games in 8 days. And as always, just updates as far as injuries and awards and all that kind of stuff from around the Big Sky Conference as well. So go check it out, SkylineSportsMT.com.
You guys kill it every single day there, man. Appreciate all your hard work, and thanks for joining us once again.
Hey, appreciate it.
You got it. That wraps it up. Wraps up another edition of today's show. Big thanks to everybody who joined us earlier in the program. Big thanks to also our producer, Lloyd Cole, and the executive producers of This Week in Big Sky Basketball, Blake Barrington and Carl Hunt. I'm Scott Gerard. Enjoy the games coming up this week, and I'll be back with you next week for another edition of This Week in Big Sky Basketball.